obviously fasting does not particularly target any
Mm-hmm.
fat on your body. You're going to lose it depending on your genetics and hormonal state at the time. And that's sort of like that. There's not really like... All right, welcome to the Bacon Bibles and Barbells podcast. I'm Coach Justin, joined by Coach Emily and Coach Amanda. And today we are talking about why you shouldn't fast. That's the title. But we're going to talk about the merits of fasting, along with the myths of fasting, of which there are many on the internet. And it seems like it probably started really becoming a thing like 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And it kind of like comes and goes as far as popularity. Seems like it's kind of gained quite a resurgence lately in the like high fat diet tends to correspond also to like, oh, and fasting is really good too. Which I guess if you're eating high fat diet, then fasting would be one way to keep you from being bloated all the time, which high fat diets tend to lead to.
Yeah, I've actually seen a new reason that somebody had said it in a bodybuilding forum, actually, which is to spot reduce the fat on your love handles. Is
Oh my gosh.
solved by intermittent fasting.
Amanda, you found the solution.
Yeah. Now you know what to do about your love handles on the next show.
And get a vibrating pad, and you'll be all set.
can't spot reduce fat any other way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. By the way, your fat loss is determined by your genetics and your hormone profile at the time you lose fat.
Yep.
So a postmenopausal woman will lose fat differently than a premenopausal woman, but that is still subject to her genetics and how her genetics also interpret her hormonal states at those times. So it won't be the same between a post and premenopausal woman anyway, but it's only like an N of one for that person. So like hormones, yes, can make a difference as they change over time. But if you're trying to spot reduce something and you naturally carry a lot of body fat there, the only way to reduce that area is to reduce all of the areas, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unless, I mean, outside of surgical intervention or something like that. But we're not talking about that. So that's a new one to me. I didn't know that love handles were allegedly targeted by fasting. That is okay. That's weird. So anyway, I think right now, we'll first talk about the positives, like why someone would fast, why we might, because I actually have had a couple times with clients. I've been like, hey, let's try this fasting protocol for a short time. It's never something that we have ever advised. I'm not saying it would never. I can't think of a scenario where we would, but I don't like to use the like we would never do that, kind of thing. But in general, for us, it's been for a specific duration, for a specific purpose. Maybe Amanda, you know a lot about dieting, so do you want to kind of talk about why we might advise someone that fasting could be in their best interest?
Yeah. First of all, I will say one of the ways of fasting that is used often is medical fasting.
Yeah.
You have to have labs done or you're having a medical procedure. And I've worked with clients on how to fuel yourself properly up until that point where you have to begin fasting. So there are proper ways to do that. But that's one of the reasons, of course, why you would fast. You want to be probably properly loaded with protein and sufficiently hydrated, although you can still have water most of the time when you're fasting for a medical purpose. But just to kind of mitigate all the hunger that comes with fasting medically, there are ways to approach leading up to that cutoff hour that don't make it so uncomfortable, but you can still, get everything passed through that you need to for whatever labs or medical procedure you might need. So
I had to fast for like 24 hours or something before my hernia surgery last year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be also useful if it is a compliance issue that somebody's dealing with. Endless snacking after dinner is over. Having a cutoff time is beneficial for somebody who struggles with that or binging patterns. But that's not necessarily a window. I mean, technically, fasting is just voluntary abstaining from calories for a specific period of time. So you're fasting between meals, you're fasting overnight, like just going by that definition.
Yeah.
But the intermittent fasting thing is those windows of time, like a 16-8 or a 14-10 or whatever it is, the smaller number being your eating window. I've seen people reduce it all the way to 3, which I think is dumb. But I usually, actually, I have never prescribed intermittent fasting to anybody because in my experience, it leads to poor food choices when you get to eat. You're too hungry and you don't choose the right kinds of foods for you. You choose what looks the most satiating. And when you're starving, it's going to be the highly palatable foods, high fat, high salt, high carb. It's not going to be protein when you're really that hungry. Unless you're incredibly disciplined and are meal planned, in which case just follow your meal plan. You don't have to intermittent fast for things like that. Spiritual purposes as well is another reason that fasting can be used. And that's generally if you are maybe struggling with something currently or you have a big decision coming up. The purpose of those fasts is not on calorie control. And if it becomes about calorie control, you're doing it wrong. Because the purpose is to use those hunger signals as a reminder to pray, for example, or
it's abstaining from, even something that you want, and instead like redirecting that, I don't want to say energy, but sort of those thoughts, and often leads, biblically it's I'm not eating today so that I can focus on prayer. I'm not going to sort of like indulge in any of my it's carnal needs. Sounds like an oxymoron, but basically like my physical needs, so that a person can focus specifically on a spiritual matter they're trying to deal with, whatever whatever that might be, which is a totally different thing from what we're is usually discussed in the sort of like intermittent fasting. Well, it's not for prayer.
No.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could also use fasting for a digestive rest. Like you're just having a lot of digestive issues and you need to just give yourself a break. That's not going to be on a regular schedule. It's not one of these planned fasting, intermittent fasting where you're scheduling a certain fast every day, or there's even alternate day fasting where you fast every other day or something like that. That's not where this digestive rest fast is used. It's not regularly scheduled. It's for a particular purpose, for a particular amount of time, so that we can determine what is causing the digestive upset.
Yeah, and that can have a use, I think. If someone just came off of like a bender type of thing with, as far as their meals are concerned, inflammation can be really high. They might have joint pain. I think that people that are obese typically struggle with that more, with having like really severe inflammatory responses from food. And I think it's two factors. I think one, it's just like the more obese you become, the less competent your body is at handling calories in general. And two, like people who are obese tend to be the people who are more prone to indulging in the foods that will cause the worst inflammation in their bodies. And so it can kind of be like a double whammy, if you will. And so taking that time sometimes to sort of like reset, I think can have merit sometimes. It's rare. And it's the type of thing that you don't want to seek out though purposely, or put yourself in a situation where this is of any benefit.
And if you're using that anytime you have like a binge situation and then you take a day of fasting to just unload the digestive system, if you do that regularly, you've created an eating disorder.
Yeah.
That's not how we need to be functioning. You need to have a lot more routine day to day with your meals. That's just going to cause disordered eating, and you're going to struggle mentally because of it. Whenever you stop doing that, you're going to struggle with body image issues and all kinds of things. It just leads you down a bad rabbit hole.
Yeah, you're not thinking rightly about food and what food is for, what your body is for, how you're supposed to be treating your body, how you're supposed to be thinking. It's just unhealthy all around.
Yeah, it's not the kind of thing where like you should be like, oh, I'm gonna just totally pig out on Thanksgiving and then I'm gonna, Friday I won't eat anything to like compensate. Like you can't compensate for putting bad food in the body. It's a break even where it's like, okay, well now I've sort of like paid the price. It's not like it's like charging your credit card and paying it off.
Penance,
yeah. It doesn't work that way. Like I like the analogy of health as like this. It's like a bank account, and some people think of it as like a bank account that you put money into. That's not how it works. Health is a bank account that is full when you're born. It's as full as it's ever going to be, and you withdraw from it as you age. You can't put money back in. You only take money out. And stuff like this is how you take money out. These stressors on the body are withdrawal, and you can't pay that back. What you're trying to do in that type of scenario is like, I've made a big big mistake. Shouldn't be something you planned to have to do. It shouldn't be like oh, well, I'll make up for it tomorrow. You don't make up for it. You make the good choices now, and then you don't have to, compensate for having made a bad choice. That's the whole idea. And it shouldn't be looked at as like a penance other than like everything's messed up now because of, what I did yesterday. This is kind of what I have to do for now, potentially. To sort of like reset, and even mentally it can be a reset that's useful for some people, but again, not ideal, and certainly not the ideal situation you want to put yourself into, and definitely don't plan to.
Yeah, the only other situation I can think of where I don't think we've ever done this with a client, but I have heard of this used multiple times. Sometimes when people are quote unquote addicted to sugar, whether that's actually bodily or just a mental like taste bud type thing is up for debate. But I know that fasting has been able to help some people in regards to it's basically just a overwhelming craving for sweet, right? It's like you don't have a taste for savory or just like those healthy food flavors. And so these are the people that tend to like start their day with a sugary coffee, and then they move on to a Monster, and then they drink Diet Coke all day, and they're popping hard candies, and they just have a hard time like even eating a salad because it doesn't taste sweet, right? I have heard of fasting mostly resetting the taste buds of those people sometimes, where you and it's not because the fasting does anything magical. It's just because you're literally not putting sugar in your mouth for those hours of the day, and you're used to doing that constantly. And so it's just a hard break from that.
I think I think part of what's going on there too is like, this is probably someone that has a severe insulin sensitivity issue. And so you're going to want sugar when you are riding that roller coaster of up and down and up and down. And so the last thing that someone in that situation wants to do, because this is like fundamental to basically every addiction cycle, whether you're talking about food, hard drugs, alcohol, really anything you can think of, like even addiction, like playing video games or whatever else.
Yeah.
It's not so much that doing the thing after a while becomes that great. It's not like people that are doing this, they're not eating sugar because like it's so awesome every time necessarily. It's because you're trying to stave off having to experience the low that you experience without it. And when you have you're basically like going hypoglycemic all the time and you have insulin sensitivity issues, you can get way more hungry than an otherwise healthy person can experience a very short duration after eating, especially if you're eating like that. And so like, it is miserable. And so it's kind of like a way to step back, let your blood glucose come to a normal level, let the insulin levels also come down, because what'll happen. So insulin helps drive hunger signaling at times. And if you have an insulin sensitivity issue, when blood glucose goes down, insulin will stay higher than it should be at fasting. And so like you have these hunger signals going at a constant time when they shouldn't be happening because you've got way too much fasted insulin. And there's both, I think, a psychological component and a physiological component to this. And just fasting, it's not like fasting for a day is going to fix the problem. it's more like a way to reset and start like go forth and sin no more. Basically, it's not, you can't rehab insulin sensitivity in a day. That takes months or years to fix a problem like that. It's just a way to like sort of like stop, reset, get things going in the right direction in the right way. And not much else than that. But again, these are mostly speaking to like compliance tools, which we can use once in a while, but it's not to train someone to use this as a ongoing lifestyle of fasting.
Yeah.
Because that's just not the goal here. The goal here is a regular human diet.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who also accidentally fast, and I say that meaning the breakfast skippers. It's people that they just don't think about breakfast. They're not fasting on purpose for any particular reason. They're just not eating breakfast. And I've asked a number of these people, why wouldn't you begin eating breakfast? And a lot of them say, well, I've just not done it for so long that when I do, I feel sick. So that tends to have to do with the choice of food they're eating. People who skip breakfast a lot and then they try to eat breakfast and it makes them feel sick are usually picking something like cereal or pancakes or stuff like that. And they're not getting a protein. Like I promise you, if you have a high protein breakfast, that nausea feeling is very unlikely to happen. So it's also going to set your foundation for the day. It's going to make it easier to hit the protein throughout the whole day. So if you are a breakfast skipper, just do a protein shake to start. There's my cat walking across the screen. Do a protein shake to start in the morning. And, you know, then you can experiment with other meals, the tail across the face. But yeah, that's what I would say to the breakfast skippers is start doing a protein shake. Yeah. And then maybe start with eggs or, you know, something like that. But something you might not have to chew makes it a little easier to start having breakfast and then start the day with a little bit better of a foundation.
Yeah. And this is, by the way, especially true of women who are pregnant, women tend to start skipping breakfast when they're pregnant because of morning sickness. Morning sickness is often driven by, from what I've seen, two things: lack of protein and lack of water. And a really great way to deal. And by the way, some of it can have to do with how much protein you had the day before, not just day of. So if you keep your protein high and make sure you're getting adequate water intake, usually it takes care of the problem, along with, of course, making sure you're not binging the kinds of foods you shouldn't eat, because the hormonal state of a pregnant woman, quickly digressing here, makes insulin insensitivity very easy to develop. You become less insulin sensitive when you're pregnant typically. And so you actually have to sort of like put more effort into protecting that. And that's going to be high protein diet, low fats, you know, moderate amount of carbs, however much you need. But like keeping protein and hydration high is often a way to address this and not not experience morning sickness. A lot of morning sickness can be avoided by doing exactly what you just said. Start the day off with protein. If you can't stomach eggs, start with a protein shake. You know, maybe a piece of fruit or something. You can probably graduate to eggs though after a little while. In most cases, you probably can. And don't eat sugar right before going to bed. That's probably why part of why you're waking up feeling sick and that sort of thing. So
yeah, I like that you noted hydration as well, because again, another habit of breakfast skippers is to just go directly to coffee and not any food, not any water. So definitely make sure you're start off the day strong. Basically, you want to have, if you start the day with a good foundation of hydration and protein, the rest of your day is going to be easier. Your choices are going to be easier to make good choices. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. So like that really is, you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I may not say most important, but I would say to prioritize it.
Yeah. Sure. Grandma was right about that.
Yes.
I think I remember reading a study. It was a meta-analysis that was sort of like a compilation of a bunch of studies that have been done between Japan and America. And I think the cohort was over 100,000 people over many years. And basically the conclusion was that skipping breakfast alone, and by the way, this was any breakfast, so just no calories. So if you had cream in your coffee, it was not considered fasting in the study. It was any calories basically whatsoever. So like, I think most people wouldn't disagree, although you've got the carnivore people and some others, whatever. They're like, cream in your coffee is not optimal. However, having anything appeared to be really good for you because the people who skipped breakfast on average lived 7 years less, had 7 less years of life, basically, and had higher incidences of metabolic and cardiovascular disease. This is probably partly because of thyroid signaling. If you don't eat in the morning, then your thyroid will typically be downregulated, and also probably insulin sensitivity issues as well. My name is Justin Johnson with High Calling Fitness. Maybe you're tired, gaining weight, waking up with joint pain, back pain, and a body that just doesn't feel like it used to. You've tried to fix it, but nothing seems to last. What if you don't need another app or crash diet, but a real coach, someone to meet you where you're at and walk with you step by step? At High Calling Fitness, our coaching comes to you wherever you are. No matter where you live, small town or city, across the country or across the world, your health still matters. You don't have to go it alone. We build personalized plans based on your goals, your schedule, and your equipment, even if it's just a set of dumbbells in a small space. This isn't just training, it's a personal partnership. You'll get weekly updates, one-on-one access to your coach, and ongoing support through Zoom and Slack every step of the way. We're here to help you build strength, restore energy, and claim the life you were meant to live. Book a free consult today. Let's talk about your goals and see how we can build something better together. High Calling Fitness, built for the everyday, ready for the extraordinary. So that's like why we would fast. Let's talk about some of the myths around fasting and what it doesn't do and how it may not be helpful, or at least not helpful in the ways that people purport, such as melting fat off of your love handles. If you want to do that, then you could talk to a surgeon, I guess. But
if you can freeze it off,
you can. Yeah, cool sculpting is a thing too. Yes, you can do that. But we're not surgeons. We're talking about those kinds of medical interventions as far as like what you can actually do. So one, we've already talked about, obviously, fasting does not particularly target any fat on your body. You're going to lose it depending on your genetics and hormonal state at the time. And that's sort of like that. There's not really like, and it like kind of blows my mind. This is still a debated topic. It's not even debated. Some people just think it's like, oh yeah, that's how it works. It doesn't work. So stop it. Like, it's not how it works. You can't target body fat. People try to do things about like, oh, if you stretch and then train the muscle, then no, that's not how any of this works. Body fat's body fat. I carry body fat on my lower body more than my upper body. Guess what? That's probably always the way it'll be because of my genetics. Everybody's got it differently. Like, you're going to lose it last on the place where you tend to carry it. And kind of end of story at that point. So that's that one. Plenty of other myths, though. Like, I've seen people say that it actually helps you burn more body fat in general for how many calories you eat. So like,
it's a super popular one.
Yeah. So like, if you want to eat 2,000, like, like most women would gain weight on 2,000 calories a day. Maybe, a lot of people seem to think that, maybe, for example, a woman could eat 2,000 calories a day if she eats it in like a, 1 to 3 hour window and the rest of the day is fasted. Calories are calories. You're always going to do something with them. You are putting energy into a system. That system, unless you like puke it back up, or you have like horrible digestion such that it, let's just say, passes right through you, which can happen, but that's an illness thing. You're going to absorb all those calories, and your body will have to either burn or store them. You don't burn more calories when you eat less often. It doesn't change things much. If anything, we have some evidence to the contrary that says more frequent feedings tend to increase body temperature. Therefore, that's what we refer to as the thermic effect of food. And it actually appears to be the opposite, where the more frequently you eat, the more likely you are to actually be able to get away with more calories. But by the way, we're talking about like a few percent here. It's not much. This doesn't get you an extra 100 calories
No, not
a
even
day.
close.
This gets you like an extra like 2 or 3 sun chips a day. Like, we're not talking about much.
Yeah, I've heard so many
there
women.
was
Oh, go ahead, Amanda.
there was a study, and I'm probably going to get some of these details wrong, but basically it was trying to match the calories like under control. The calories were controlled under intermittent fasting or just having them regularly spaced throughout the day. And at the end of the study, the two groups had lost the same amount of weight. So this is controlled for calories.
Yeah.
The same amount of weight. The only difference was the timing. The group that had regularly spaced meals, of the weight that they lost, a little bit more was fat.
More
so
is
the
fat,
body
yeah.
composition is different, even though the number of pounds lost was very much the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think Menno Hesselman's did a breakdown of that study a couple months ago, maybe, I want to say. The study's been around for a bit, but I actually think he did a breakdown of it recently in a post, or it was a couple months ago. But yeah, I remember seeing that same study. Basically, like, you retain more muscle and burn more fat when you eat more regularly throughout the day compared to fasting. You're going to move, and that, by the way, goes to demonstrate my theory that I've had for many years now, but I can't prove it, that if you just eat calories, whatever the macros are, your body weight's going to be about the same, no matter what the macros are. The macro breakdown determines your composition.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, the timing probably does too.
Yeah, I'm not really aware of what if the macros were controlled for in these studies or if it was only calories, but
they actually did document the macros. I read the study, and I'm trying to remember what it was. If I remember right, the intermittent fasting group, I think they actually ate a little bit more protein, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong. There actually
probably kept them satiated a little longer.
It probably made it easier to comply. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as I remember, there actually was slight differences, but they weren't like super substantial as I remember. But they actually did have an average macro breakdown for the diets they put these people on. But it wasn't super substantial in difference as I remember. And the most relevant factor was definitely the timing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't throw too many variables in. Then what are you studying? So.
Yeah, exactly. So those of you that are trying to use intermittent fasting for weight loss, you might consider just spreading your meals out just for the sake of your body composition. For those of you ladies who are struggling to get the body back that you had before you had babies and you got like down to the same weight that you were before babies, and you're like, how come everything doesn't look the same? There's one simple explanation for that. You're carrying less muscle mass than before you had a baby, because when you had that baby, you were, typically women that are pregnant don't eat enough protein. And so to make a baby takes a lot of protein. Your body's going to get it from somewhere. Got it from you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like that simple. There are plenty of female bodybuilders, including Amanda, who have had babies that can get just as jacked and ripped as they need to, just as jacked and ripped as the women who have never had babies. And there's no difference between them really, except that, maybe skin could be slightly looser.
Maybe you have to deal with diastasis recti or something.
Yeah, there can be body changes, but as far as your composition, like your ability to hold muscle mass, your shape, not that different. Not that different. The difference is like, something never came back and everything looked loose and all this other stuff. It's not really your skin so much. It's just the fact that you probably have more fat and less muscle mass at that same scale weight, and that's why your dress size didn't go back down all the way or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So eat many times through the day should help a bit. Obviously, exercise too.
There's also an interesting fact about the way that intermittent fasting was developed, like the study that kind of brought it about, and where this standard 16-8 window came from. That 8-hour window wasn't necessarily what they were studying, or like it wasn't set that way. It was actually, that was the only time that the scientist was able to be in the lab, was 8 hours a day. So the eating window was restricted to 8 hours. It could have been 10. It could have been 6. It was not based on any kind of, reason other than this is when he's in the gym, in the gym. Everything's in the gym.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is when he's in the lab to
Basically,
study this.
there wasn't
So-
budget for multiple people to cover multiple shifts or pay
Right.
someone overtime.
Yeah. That's probably the wonkiest myth that I see around. And I think it's touted to women a lot. I get YouTube ads for it. I see the graphics on Instagram of like it where it wants you to select what body type are you as far as like where you store your fat, and then it assigns you an eating window. Have you seen those?
Yes,
Where it's
I have.
If you're
It's like this
pear-shaped,
shape.
you're a 16-8 or whatever it is. Like if
If your
I've
body
seen
is this
fun
shape,
fit-
then you drink too much or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
right,
It's like,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
alcohol belly. This is mom belly. This is, you know.
Right. And usually they have, because it's touting intermittent fasting. And so usually they'll also have an eating window assigned to each like body fat, to the like body composition that you are. So it's like, if you're this composition, then this eating window will work for you.
It's just a new form of the somatotype myth. It's the same concept
Yeah.
in a different form.
Yeah, in a dumber form. Like that's kind of like the video breakdown I did of that woman that was. She said she was eating like 2,000 calories a day. That she was like an influencer.
She didn't say. She was just like it's the, and I hear it from women all the time that if you eat within your eating window, you can eat whatever you want. And
she showed what she was eating though on like a plate. It was
Right.
2,000 calories.
It was at least 2,000 calories.
Yeah, and it was
insane.
just like there's no way because she had like one, she wasn't bloated. Any woman who eats as much fats as was on that plate is going to have a bloated belly. I don't care who you are, you're going to be bloated. And two, she looked like she was like 12 or 14% body fat, like weighed 110 pounds or something like that. No, like that's unless you are running miles and miles every day. It's just not. That's not a thing. Like she's flagrantly lying about what she eats. First of all.
Yeah, and this is something that is really discouraging being in the fitness world is how many people do things like this. And it's been going on for a long time. Like back when they were VHS tapes of exercise videos trying to get our moms to, you know, walk a mile and you'll be this fit. The people who are in those videos are telling you, this is all I'm doing and I'm fit.
Yes.
And so you think that that's all you need to do, but behind the scenes, and I've heard interviews with these people talking about like they were in the gym for hours on end. They had incredibly restrictive diets because they're going to be filmed for these things. And it's the same
they peaked
kind
for
of
that
thing
film
we're getting now.
it was like a prep.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Or now, like there are so many apps where all you have to do is hit a button, like, and it's like increase your hip size, tuck your waist in, and like these apps just do it for you. AI does it for you, and like you said, there are people that go through extreme measures in order to look that lean. And here's the thing: they take 200 photos and use them all year round.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. There's a gullibleness in the human nature about seeing something visual and believing it's true and believing that the narrative behind it's true. Like, I mean, sheesh, there's a bunch of people that still think Arnold was like a natural drug-free bodybuilder. Like, I still see that on the internet once in a while. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, he's even talked publicly about it. And his training partners have talked about, about it too. Like, the things that people are doing to look a certain way it's a lot more effort than you think.
Yeah.
It really is. These are people that are professionally trying to present themselves in a certain way to sell a product, which is fine if you're honest about it.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
I don't mind. Like, if you're honest about it, that's cool. It's just that, don't sell that, like basically doing your 12-week prep for a photo shoot or a film or whatever was built purely on intermittent fasting or this juice that you were drinking or whatever the heck you were doing. Like, it doesn't work that way. And so like, there's a discernment issue here, obviously in a certain sense, but like, if you see someone that looks like that and they say, all I did was blah, 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 look, it should set off alarm bells as soon as you hear someone say, you can look like whatever. And all you have to do is just this one little trick or whatever it is. There's no one little trick to your health. There really isn't. If you're in a state where you're overweight, you probably have insulin sensitivity issues, you're tired all the time, all that stuff, there's no one quick fix. There's not like one little thing. You're not going to be able to start walking a mile a day and it all goes away. You're probably not going to be able to just cut out diet sodas or cut out sodas and like just diet sodas and drop all the weight. Yeah, that might give you the first like 20 pounds if you're drinking soda, all like sugary soda every day on a regular basis, multiple times. Yes, that'll get you so far. But if the rest of your diet, exercise, lifestyle, your sleep, everything else isn't dialed in, you're not going to get there. You don't get abs just from cutting out soda. It's a lot more than that. Or stop drinking beer or whatever the thing might be, or intermittent fasting. Like none of those one things will do it at all. It takes an entire lifestyle change to get anywhere decent. And like realize that the people that are doing this, they're professionals at presenting themselves in a certain way. Again, that's fine, that's cool, but like the issue is the dishonesty about it. And so like anytime if you're watching something and you see some influencer saying like just do this thing and you'll look like me, don't pay attention to them, unfollow them. Like you already know they're being dishonest. There's no quick fix, there's no one trick or whatever. Like to get the results we get with clients, to get the results that we've gotten for ourselves, it involves an entire battery of dietary and training and other lifestyle modifications to become reasonably healthy. And it's not like it's something that you have to be in the gym 8 hours a day. Like I usually train under 4 hours a week. Usually it's like 3 or 4 hours in an entire week, and have done for the last several years. That's all it really takes. But the rest of the stuff, like it touches every part of your life, like going to bed on time and eating protein 5 times a day and things like that. That does affect things. Do I have to spend a whole lot of time on that now that we have like a lifestyle built around it? No, it's just part of our life. But you do have to change many touch points and variables in your life. And that's really the adjustment. It's mostly psychological.
Yeah, there's certain trigger phrases like all you have to do is, or you just need this, that you can pretty much go ahead and write that off. Now the real trick to getting into shape is very simple and boring, but it's not easy, and it's not single faceted. So the sleep, the protein, the timing of the meals, doing resistance training,
and
things
implementing
like that.
those in someone's life in a reasonable way can sometimes become not nuanced and complicated because our lives don't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
I think one thing I want to address too with the intermittent fasting that's still going around and is ridiculous is the whole autophagy thing. Autophagy is cell turnover. It's replacing of cells that are damaged, metabolically unhealthy, etc. One, you don't want to increase cell turnover more rapidly than you have to, because that is how aging happens. The more times you copy DNA strands, the more times, or transcribe DNA, the more it will become inaccurate. Basically, you have damaged DNA. That's how you age. That's a component of aging. And by the way, part of what can lead to cancer sometimes, but you do need autophagy because cells do become metabolically unhealthy, etc. You get all the autophagy you need when you sleep, particularly when you're exposed to red and infrared light spectrums, which basically make the cells release cytokines. The cytokines are like the cell raising a flag and saying, hey, kill me, I'm no longer healthy. And then autophagy that night goes and clears those cells away, replaces them. It's that simple. It's not a process that takes a 20-hour fast to accomplish. If you don't eat when you sleep, which is all of us, you'll be just fine. You do not need to have more autophagy hours. It doesn't work that way.
And some people get in this thing where they say, oh, I did this 24-hour fast, and because of the autophagy, I felt so good. Okay, no, you're not going to feel it. And if you did feel amazing after a 24-hour fast, for me, that would be like red flag, because that means there's something you're eating that's probably, or the way you're eating that's making you feel really terrible. Because most people, after not being fueled for 24 hours, should not feel good unless there was something in their diet that was causing them to feel that much worse, that when they took it out, they're just like, oh, praise the Lord, I feel so much better. You really shouldn't after not eating for 24 hours. And it's definitely not the autophagy that you're feeling.
Yeah, it's probably the fact that you didn't eat junk for a while. Like, if you eat a good diet, you do feel good. I promise. It's just that a lot of people, because of online influence, frankly, have less understanding of what a good diet is today, I think, than the common people did like 40, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people understood like 40, 50 years ago. I don't think people understood quite how important protein is and that how much you should try to be eating. But people understood, like, yeah, I should have some starches and some proteins and some fruits or vegetables with every meal. That's all been challenged so much on social media, especially in the last like 20 years. And it's not based on science. It's not based on where the evidence has gone. It's like we have mounting evidence to the contrary. That is people selling programs, books, materials, and, you know, coaching services and things like that. And that's it. It's just to try to get people hooked.
There's one other, I guess, reason for intermittent fasting that I have heard cast around, which is that it depletes glycogen, which it will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that is going to help your muscles grow. They're connecting for some reason the fact that your muscles lose glycogen when you work out, and intermittent fasting lowers glycogen. So since they both do that, it will increase your muscle mass.
Oh my goodness.
You are not going to have good hypertrophy results if you are intermittent fasting. Yes, you do deplete glycogen when you train, but that is replenished by the food. Depleting glycogen on diet alone is not how you build muscle.
Amanda, how much muscle do you
be
build on a prep when you're depleted? You're depleted
Zero.
for months at a time. How does that work out for you?
Actually, I lose a little bit.
Yeah. So do guys that are on lots of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even guys on drugs that are bodybuilding tend to lose muscle mass when they get the closer they get to a show.
Yeah.
Even with drugs to try to help preserve the muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
The way that muscle building works is surplus of calories.
Yes.
Specifically protein and carbs are the other big anabolic driver, not
Right.
fats.
Mm-hmm.
The way that we put muscle mass on a person is by keeping their protein usually the same, maybe bumping it up a little bit, but you don't really need to because we try to get the same amount anyway, and actually bumping up your carb intake because that is energy for building.
Right. Combined with the stimulus from the gym, which there's no way these people are in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. Think of like if you build a house, it requires building materials. That's the protein, and actually some fats, by the way, but it's not many. But there's a lot of energy inputs into that building. There's the energy that the people are doing. There's the energy of the machinery, I should say. There's a lot of energy inputs. If you restrict carbs, which is the energy input, you are therefore restricting the capability to grow. And insulin is the most anabolic hormone that your body produces. Mm-hmm. More carbs means more insulin. We actually do want that. We just want it to come back down not too long after feeding. But you want those spikes, if you will, in glycemic load. The other component here that's really, I think, salient to that is they've done measurements of approximate muscle protein synthesis measured by a specific enzyme in the liver, proximate to protein feedings and how much protein it actually takes. The whole myth of like you can only absorb 30 or 40, I've seen different numbers, 50 grams of protein at a time, do any good with it. They've studied all the way up to 100 grams of protein in a feeding. The more that the study participants ate, the more muscle protein synthesis there was, all the way up to 100 grams. And it was a drastic increase, a very drastic increase.
Right. Well, even in the medical world, like there are medications that they purposely give to cancer patients, burn victims, like people that are really having a hard time retaining muscle mass, whether that's from just like lying in bed all day or just from general sickness, that like a lot of those medications are made to keep your muscles full and bring the nutrients, carbs and protein to those muscles so that you can maintain as much muscle mass as possible.
That is literally why
But
Anavar was
want to
created.
deplete them. Yeah.
There's
Like
a lot,
yeah.
apomorelin, tesmorelin, that those were created for HIV patients. Bodybuilders use them all the time because they're peptides that help you retain muscle when you're in a fat loss phase.
Because of increased growth hormone, which growth hormone, one of the big things it does is increase how much water retention you have, and therefore carb retention in the muscles.
Yeah, you do not want them flat.
And by the way, that's how like all performance enhancing drugs work. That's why guys that are on drugs have such round muscles. It's putting more energy into the muscles so that they can do more work. Like literally how Anavar, which is one of the few legal steroids, like anabolic steroids, works, is doing that. It was created for burn victims and for people with muscle wasting diseases, and for women who are, especially older women, who are dealing with muscle loss and like sarcopenia. It also helps with bone retention and things like that. It's literally just basically like, it's basically hormone replacement. Just take hormone replacement. It's going to do the same thing. But like that is how those drugs work, is by adding more energy and nitrogen retention in the muscle. So therefore more carbs and better utilization of protein.
That was a tangent. Sorry.
No, yeah, but no, it's a good point to bring. I
have heard people say that.
That's a new one to me.
Yeah.
But I don't watch all the
that.
female influencer stuff.
Don't watch the female stuff, you guys. Like,
yeah, like as much as someone might hear this to be offended, like if it's a woman saying it about diet and it's this one new trick or whatever, like you should sort of hold a higher burden of proof if she has a lot of followers and she's female. Because I think that women are just more susceptible to that kind of marketing, and it is working for building a following and making more money. And so like just be very discerning. Anything that says like energy depletion leads to tissue growth, that's not how that works. Go see Starving Children in Africa for a great case study on what happens when you deplete yourself.
Right.
That's like, you're not going to grow more muscle mass on depleted glycogen stores in the muscle. Like you actually want those topped off for training and recovery purposes. Yeah. If you're trying to grow.
And just like a slight, now I'll go off on one more tangent while we're on that topic of like, we have all these, especially homemakers and moms right now walking around, and they're concerned because their cortisol's high and they've got nutrient deficiencies and their digestion's all wrecked and they feel stressed out or whatever. And it's like, and they're intermittent fasting. They're not
starving's not going to do anything for your cortisol.
Starving. Fasting is a stress on your body. My goodness. And especially like Justin was talking about earlier, with all the signaling that happens in the morning between sex hormones and thyroid, and you are stressing your body out first thing in the morning like that by not eating breakfast. It's just like, please, somebody hand all these homemakers some eggs.
Protein first thing in the morning is important for everybody, but it's actually more important for women than men as far as their well-being.
You're like, kind of letting your body know we're safe, we can thrive. We don't have to just fight for survival right now.
Yeah.
So you have
think
to
you have high
give it that
cortisol,
signal.
You're not getting enough protein. Fix that first.
Just eating breakfast could do like so much for your downstream health and mental health as well. Like
even the clarity. Speaking of mental health, the clarity you get from eating breakfast is you don't have that fogginess starting your day. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, people that say that they have they get brain fog from eating food and stuff like that, it's the food choice. And it's an insulin sensitivity issue that needs to be addressed with the right kind of diet. Like you might eat differently while rehabbing an insulin sensitivity issue compared to trying to, someone that's metabolically healthy. So yes, that's granted, but you still need to eat something. It just needs to be the right choices. You make the right choices, you will not have that brain fog. That exists.
Fasting doesn't fix a trash diet. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to have a good diet.
You can't eat trash less hours of the day and still expect good output.
Yeah. I can't eat cereal for breakfast and not feel like trash. I'd feel like awful.
I feel great
or
if I
you can do
shake with it.
Wait, if you have
I was going to say or you can mix whey in with your milk. I'm not advocating for sugary cereals.
Yeah.
You have to get the right one. You have to pick the right protein. But
I have
that's not something I do very often.
Like that Fairlife filtered.
You'll do the milk, the filtered milk, but it's not a protein shake.
Yeah, it's basically.
If you get the actual Fairlife Core Power vanilla protein,
Yeah.
It's like double or triple the amount of protein as the Fairlife milk, and it works in cereal.
I have actually done that as post-workout with cereal. I've done that as a post-workout when I'm when I'm trying to gain weight, because it's a lot of calories that you can digest fast. It actually works really well, but that is a high-calorie meal, and so I don't generally recommend people do that. It's just that to gain substantial weight, I'm eating like 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. So
yeah,
that's
it's not a tool for everybody.
No, it's not. It's really not a tool that most people should be utilizing. Yeah, cool. I think we pretty much beat that dead
I'm trying to think if
horse.
there's any other myths that I've heard about fasting in particular.
I'm sure we're missing a few. Yeah, but like ultimately takeaway is like fasting is rarely for your health, certainly not regularly. The answer is get the right diet. The right diet you will be eating multiple times per day. You will feel better. Your health will be better. Your metabolic health will be better. You will live longer, have a higher quality of life. Your body composition will go the direction that it should be going. Fasting does not compensate for this. Fasting is actually a harm if done regularly. It can be like, yeah, compliance tool kind of thing. I get that. But that is training wheels that you should have a plan to take off. We don't ride around on training wheels with our diet forever. That is compensating for a psychological barrier that we have to overcome, and you want to overcome that as quickly as possible to thrive. Yep. Cool. Cool. Thanks, guys. I think this is a good one. All the crunchy moms might be angry, but I hope that you guys all came away with something useful. If you guys have questions about this, then please reach out or leave something in the comments. Leave something nasty. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down twice, so your vote counts twice. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys all next time. And until then, gains and grace.
Gains and grace.
Gains and grace.